to make the first landing, and you don't know for sure what it's going to be like, NASA picked the smoothest part they could find. And it was called Mare Tranquillitatis, the Sea of Tranquility. So the three of us on the crew and one more guy, he was going to be the guy that we would talk to when we landed. Four of us knew, that's all, that when we landed, instead of being Eagle and Mike Collins in Columbia as part of Apollo 11, when we landed, we were going to call ourselves Tranquility Base. So, and that's where the famous words that were the second spoken from the moon. See, I had a first also. The second first. No, this was the first. We touched down, and the landing gear just touches down, and it turns the light on in the cockpit. And so I say, contact light, engine stop, and a few other things. Those were the first words from the moon. And then a second or two later, Houston, Tranquility Base. The Eagle has landed. Very appropriate, just classic wording. Now, the guy who knew what we were going to say, believe it or not, he stumbled over the wording a little bit. Tranquility. Anyway, we all knew what he was saying. Now, let me, we'll cover something in between maybe, but we're getting ready to leave the moon. We solved the problem of the broken circuit breaker.
It's a really scary story in the book.
That was the engine arm circuit breaker. And looked like if it's broken, you might not be able to get electricity to the descent engine. Well, we already landed, but the same thing goes to the ascent engine. Ascent, that's ascending. That's the one that gets you home. And anyway, we solved that problem. And mission control and Neil and I are getting ready to leave, and I knew what was going to be happening, and pretty soon the capsule communicator, the guy in mission control who's an astronaut, is the one who speaks to the crew all the time. And he was going to say, which he did, Tranquility Base, you're cleared for liftoff. I knew that all of this was going to take place, so I thought ahead. And I said, Roger, Houston, we're number one on the runway. There was no number two up there. Nobody else, just us. And there sure wasn't any runway.